What you got, buddy?
Morning. Morning.
Morning,
Yep.
morning,
Yep.
morning. We got witches. We got, I don't even know what the fuck we have. We have more puts logged into the jukebox than I think I've ever seen. That's what we got.
Fun.
That's what we got. And it's like the only thing that I can really think about, it's like, I guess after the CPI number and the big spill, I think I made a comment something along the lines of the market is going to be held hostage to send a message to Powell. Unfortunately, we still have a few more days of it. So the question is when do they cover out going into this Fed meeting? That's the only question. Everything else is just kind of like whatever. Whatever. So what levels you got? I don't know what else to say, dude. Like honestly, it's like I'm sitting here looking at this going, this is all fucking absolutely ridiculous on so many levels. It's like when you see somebody sitting in a corner cutting themselves, asking, and they're screaming, "Why am I bleeding? Why am I bleeding?" while they're cutting themselves. It's kind of like, well, dude, because you're cutting yourself. That's okay. Okay, is what it is.
Hey, go to Stonkington first. I gotta sneeze.
Stockington,
Oh,
hi
morning.
Stockington, tell us stuff.
I'll tell you some stuff. We've got some big news over here at Stonkington LLC Incorporated Enterprises that I'm just going to have to tell you about as I pull up some charts because we're going to need new levels. Yeah, you might not believe this one at first explanation, but tomorrow I will be attending a professional sporting event of the baseball variety.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
right?
You going to watch the Dodgers?
Yeah. Los
Doya?
Angeles Dodgers versus the San Francisco Giants
Oh wow.
at, and I said even in the proper sporting order, uh, you know, that means,
Where is that game being played?
well, that's what I'm saying. I said it in the correct sporting order. It's at San Francisco, right? That's how you
Okay,
do it.
good, 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 good.
Oh, yeah.
Great ballpark up there. I really like it. I love Dodger Stadium. Love Dodger Stadium.
Oh, no, it's in San Francisco.
Yeah, no, the Candlestick is great, or
Okay.
the old whatever they call it now.
Have a big glove out.
Yeah, no, that's a really nice stadium. But there's something nostalgic about Dodger Stadium that it just feels like baseball there. It's like
Yeah.
some of the new stadiums feel like they're going to the mall to watch a baseball game. That's good, Stonkington. That's good. That's good. I'm
Yeah.
proud of you. You're making steps
Doing a thing.
towards what I'm not sure, but you're making steps. This is good.
All right. Well, now I've got these charts pulled up, a computer time. Yeah, so that's big stuff. Yes, I hope all the teams have fun. But okay, so let's look at levels. So we went down. Okay, so Moderna was a daily inside bar. It's already below yesterday's low. So I would just basically adjust these triggers a little bit. If Moderna is going to continue downside, this line at 133.6 has shown its importance It's been lower orb on previous days multiple times. And then if Moderna is going to go up, the volume profile here is lighting up for me this line at 136 flat. It's also looking like a fib. So I'd be looking at 136 break on Moderna to go long potentially. NVIDIA on the list. I'm just going to use pre-market support and resistance. So I'll be watching 126.6. We were to continue down, and then the break of 127.6 if we're going to go back up, just kind of like pre-market range today. And then Tesla be similar. This line from pre-market bouncing at 297.8, and if Tesla was to go up, I'd be looking at 300.8, which was also yesterday's lower orb. That's what I got for my levels. I'll probably be doing some fib adjusting with this ridiculousness over here. So that's what I got.
She got that, Binda. Bless you.
Thank you. You know, it was one of those where you sneeze like 8 times and you blow your nose and you're like, okay, I think I got it. And then you sneeze like 8 more times. I think it's all the cedar that I've been dealing with. I've never had allergies though, but I hear that's one of those ones that you
cedar is
can develop.
Yeah, no, cedar's different though, man. Cedar is that'll get you. It'll definitely get you.
All right, well, today's levels are gonna be very interesting, or not all that interesting, because there just isn't a whole lot, honestly, to go off of when we're talking about, you know, potential areas of support below. We don't have a whole lot to work with, to be honest. So I'm gonna post a couple charts here that I'm going through. Let's see. Okay, this is the let's see. Here's a 3-day, and I mean I know you guys are probably looking at the same thing, but you know, I like to start with a little bit of a longer term, wider view for perspective. Here you go. So that's 3-day candles. And you can see this 3865, you know, that level was a previous area of interest. We're right at it right now. We give up that 3865, and what happens? Really, there's some crap, you know, in the middle, but that green box on the left, the top of that box, 3743, and this longer term up channel that was created by the pre-COVID low, or the pre-COVID high to the COVID low. The top side of that comes in around about 3780. So, you know, I say it's kind of interesting or not, because, and there's just not a whole lot in between. I mean, we're below the majority of our moving averages, and there's just not a ton to go off of in here. So levels above, you know, obviously, you know, 3,900 being that whole number. I think I think if we get any sort of overnight inventory is 100% short, so there is a chance that we get a pop early. Some of those start to cover out. A lot of times when you come into the morning, 100% either direction, you get an opposite move, but it doesn't mean it will sustain anything, right? Whether when we go into the day 100%, overnight inventory 100% long, we open and we get a little sell off at the open, then usually once that kind of clears, then we can continue higher. So we're kind of in that opposite scenario. We're overnight 100% short, so some of that may clear off in the morning, at the open, and then we got to see, if we're going to continue the push down from there. But I would expect some sort of, bounce. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but it gives us a high probability that there is a decent bounce as some of that starts to come off. So with that said, 38.85. We're currently sitting at 38.66, and 38.55 or 38.85 is the previous level of support and resistance. You got 39.01 is the 20 MA on the 60 minute. 39.21 also previous support resistance, and puts us back in the that would kind of put us back into that range bound zone between 39.25 and 39.70 or 75. You got 39.40 is the 50 MA on the 60 minute. So, man, as far as levels below, I just don't have a whole lot more to offer if we don't hold, 38.65, 38.60. I think it could see 3,800 pretty quick. I don't have a lot else.
Yeah, the whole lot else and trying to figure it out. It's like, and this is where it becomes really interesting to me, Bender. When technician doesn't have a whole lot to say, that means we're kind of fucked. That's kind of what it.
I mean, it means, to me, it means that 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 move could happen relatively quick. You know what I mean?
Well,
like if they decide
so
to spill it below 38.50, that move down to 3,800, that can happen pretty quick, and I'm not going to be trying to catch it, in between there for sure.
no, and especially when you have, and you talked about it with the inventory being as short as it is. We can talk about options flow being as short as it is. That trade is so crowded to the downside. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy how crowded that trade is, and you could get. I think on when you don't have headwinds and it's just charts and flow. You can get these pretty intense bounces that rip back. The problem now is there's so much positioning to the short side, and I don't know that the fear element, when I really, really, sit back and try to evaluate things from a broad standpoint, I don't think the fear element is set in, and I think that they really and genuinely want this weekend to have people absolutely shitting themselves. I think that that's really what they're looking to do. The market wants extreme outrage going into this Fed meeting. They want outrage. They want it to be on the Sunday morning talk shows. They want it to be on the top of everybody's mind. They want the Sunday paper coming out and everybody reading it to be like, hey, we're big F fucked. And they're slowly but surely starting to point that cannon directly at the Fed. That narrative is switching and changing. Sometimes these things take weeks to develop. When you start looking at it, the fear factor has not set in.
Yeah.
So we can look at it. We've been through many of these OpExes, right? To where you can throw everything out the window and it's just going to be what it is. They could, in theory, Bender, we've seen this. They could rock Q back up to 300 a day if they feel like it. They could. In theory, they can dump SPY, I don't know, certainly under 380. Certainly. Easily. They could do that at open just for fucking shits and giggles. So it's like we're in an environment here that to where it's like going into this week, if I had everything to do over again, I wouldn't have traded. If I could do everything all over again this week, I would not have traded based on headwinds, OpEx, and just a complete bastardization of data. Ultimately, and in hindsight, looking at it, that's what it came out, just a bastardization of data. The market right now wants to pick and choose what's important as far as a narrative in order to stoke and create fear and stoke and create pressure on the Fed to, hey, you might want to reevaluate things. And when Bloomberg puts out an article last night, within minutes after I attacked the Fed, saying that interest rate raising rates may not be the answer, and then you can look directly and see a direct through line to Japan. Japan's not raising rates; they're holding their line. They printed more in relation to GDP than we did by far. This is caught in a game. Caught in a game. Just a game. Just a game. And with any game, as Stockington will find out this weekend, there are winners and there are losers. That's the game. So that's all I've got, man.
I did post one more chart for you. Take a look at that. And I just added that orange dotted line. That would come in around 38.15.
38.15, and that fills that gap just under 380. 378 or whatever that is, right in through there. There's a little tiny gap on SPY. Yeah, no, that would do it. But it's like, I know this. The flow has to change.
Yeah.
The flow has to change. Flow is completely and totally bearish. It is a trillion% bearish, flow is. So, with that being said, and it's the last thing I'm going to say before I go and take my little walk around the property. That little $1,000 account that I started. There's two lines on that you can look at as far as what damage can be done to any size account if you don't use flow properly. If you do not respect what the flow is saying. There are two lines on that I posted last night that absolutely screams what happens when you do not respect flow. There are consequences. And if you don't use a tool properly, you will fuck yourself. And
not in a good way. You got to use
not
the
in a
tools
good way.
properly.
You have to use the tools properly. It's like, it doesn't matter what the narrative, it doesn't matter what right and wrong is, it doesn't matter anything. Either money's coming in or money's going out. And if money's going out and you're trying to get in, you can see at the heavy clip that they're fucking pulling it out and you ignore it, you will damage yourself. So I can take this as an opportunity to be all pissed off and angry, which the only person I have to be angry is at myself. Or I can sit back and be like, you know what? This is an example and a reminder of how powerful the tools are and how important it is to respect the tools. Anyways, that's what I have to say, buddy. Market opens in less than 20 minutes. Let's see what they give us.
All right, see you in a few.